So exercise, whether it's aerobic exercise or strength exercise when living with migraine, can be really helpful for managing your condition. And I know for many this can be challenging, especially if you have chronic migraine and you're worried about triggering flares because your body's just not very tolerated to physical activity sometimes. So here are a few of my generalized tips to avoid triggering a migraine flare, or what to do when coming back from a flare and trying not to dip back into that. So hello, my name is Dr. Sam and I'm a physical therapist that specializes in the management of headache and migraine disorders. So the first tip I have is to set a realistic goal, but then the other part of that is set a realistic starting point. So again, your goal, the end goal should not be your starting point. So if my goal is to go out and weightlift 3 times a week for 30 minutes, which is a realistic goal for many people with chronic migraine, and you've previously been doing 0 days of exercise for 0 minutes, we don't want to be starting it 3 times a week. Your body isn't ready for that. Your body needs time to adapt to this new physical stressor you're going to be placing upon it. And it may need more time than somebody that doesn't have a chronic condition. So it's okay to take your time and start with a very low goal, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, 1 or 2 days a week. So then this goes into rule number 2, or guideline number 2, after setting a realistic goal. And that's the rule of twos. Too hard, too soon, too often. We want to avoid breaking this rule, especially if you're a beginner or just at a recent flare, because it can trigger more frequent attacks again for you if you're doing too much too soon. So again, too hard. So sometimes you can feel great working out, you're pushing, you're like, oh, let me push a little bit harder because it feels really good. But then you start overextending your body's physical capabilities, and then it results in triggering an attack. So be mindful that we want to add exercise and time, but give your body time to adjust to the new stress you're putting on it, so don't progress too soon to higher levels of exercise. And definitely keep your days spaced out. So your body needs time to recover. Generally, it's about 24 hours, but for people that are more sensitive or have a chronic migraine, it might be better to wait 48 to 72 hours, especially if very sensitive after a flare. Tip number 3, your workouts aren't all or nothing. You can do a workout and start it and feel like, oh, I'm 1 exercise in, I just don't have the exercise time to do this today. I don't have the endurance. I feel like I can't handle the stress, and that's okay. It's okay to cut a workout early. It's okay to reduce your repetitions. It's okay to reduce the sets and not do the plan that you had. So if you're new to strength training, it's okay to take time to learn how your body responds to different exercises, different intensities, and the schedule. Feel like it's okay to mess up a little bit. Nobody's going to throw you in jail, and it's not wrong to change up what your original strategy was. And then lastly, be mindful of your other triggers with exercise. Something I found with a lot of clients is they're not really considering the environment they're exercising in. So if you're going to a gym, they're overflowing with sensory information. Gyms are bright, they're loud. They can be really busy, which is visually stimulating. They can be too hot. The cleaning solutions can also be an irritant for many. So they're going to the gym, they're having frequent attacks after going to exercise, but the exercise was only increasing the stress when all these other stressors were help triggering a migraine attack. So just be aware that these other triggers are there and we need to account for them. So another trigger that I just want to mention is dehydration and low blood sugar. So if you know your body's already sensitive to those things, make sure you have water before, during, and after, and maybe a little bit of snack if you need to. And the last one that people don't consider is if big storms are a big trigger, it's okay to move a planned workout. So if I know like tomorrow's going to be a big storm day, but I wanted to work out, maybe that's not a good day. Maybe I need to move it to a different day or do it the day before so I can adjust my plan. So we don't want to be forcing a situation when our body's just going to not have a good reaction. So when starting a strength training program or aerobic program with dealing with chronic migraine, follow the simple rules. Set a realistic goal, realistic starting point. Remember the rule of twos, too hard, too soon, and too often. Be mindful of your other triggers. So give your body time to adapt to this new physical stressor. It can be hard, so don't be hard on yourself if we're taking things too slow. Be okay with making frequent adjustments early on, learning how your body responds, right? Be patient and be mindful. So there's different ways to incorporate strength training programs. So if you need any help with that, comment below or send me a message on any of the links that I provide.